Welcome to the official Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. My name's Ian.
And my name's Nikki, bringing you the best in comics and graphic novels and updates from the festival.
Hello and welcome to Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast episode 42. My name's Ian.
And I'm Nikki.
And it's like Christmas.
Christmas! I love Christmas.
Is it really?
God.
There you go.
Is that your...
Is that making you feel all Christmassy?
I do like the sound of Christmas bells,
There
so
you
I
go.
don't actually mind that one. You didn't let him finish.
We'll leave the sleigh
what
bells
was that?
there.
You're supposed to be good at this now.
No, I didn't say
Practicing
that.
with your little
I didn't say that.
soundboard.
However, official, the Comic Smell Tom says we have to keep it in.
Which is why he's not going to be
We
co-hosting with me
have
anymore.
to keep... What do you mean anymore? He hasn't done yet.
No, but he was going to.
Okay. Today on the show, we've got Pete talking about comics for Christmas.
Comics for Christmas.
Those last minute presents. We got Mike looking at Fight Club 2.
Yep.
And we have a chat with Aaron Rackley of Little Heroes Comics.
He was lovely.
He was.
A really nice man.
We'll get to that shortly. But as I say, it is Christmas.
Christmas!
So you got me loads of stuff for Christmas.
What?
You got me like the best presents in the world ever.
No. You see, you're very, very hard to buy for, Ian.
I'm not, listeners.
Oh, he is.
Oh, I'm
because
not.
Picky Pick over there is picky. And if you
What's
don't
that?
get him something
Picky
that...
Ian Picky
Pick is picky. And if you don't get something he likes, he gets a bit funny.
I don't.
And then it never gets used.
But I don't.
I bought you those posters. They're still in the thing that I bought them in.
I've just put up the stuff I bought you last year.
That's only because we didn't have frames.
So you can't blame me.
Oh, I can.
We need another print, by the way. If anyone wants to send us a print, A3 in size, please. Nice signed print.
Yes, I'm sure that's going to
you.
work. Yes. Anyway, pick. I have bought quantity over quality for both your birthday and Christmas, so I'm winning.
Whereas I've gone for quantity and quality.
Well, whoopee-doo for you. Look, all right, you bought me a robot. That doesn't give you carte blanche for everything now.
What did we do last night? As we record.
As we record? What, last night?
Yeah.
Is that how it happens?
Just answer the question.
We went to see Zoe Lyons at the brewery.
She was good.
She was brilliant. It was very, very funny. Yes. Yeah.
You're going to talk about the people?
The people. Entry-level humans.
You met an entry-level human.
I met an entry-level human because I was suddenly wearing a beer down my back, which was lovely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and she wasn't going to apologise, was she?
No.
Until you glared at her.
Glared and spoke.
And then, yes, and then she kind of apologised. Oh, that was me. Sorry. It's like, oh, yes, entry-level.
Entry-level. But no, I must admit she was very funny, and if she's around
funny.
your way,
I'll definitely go.
pop along.
If she managed to get out of Whitehaven.
Whitehaven, let's not go there.
No, she had to.
She's still there. Yeah, no, really enjoyable. We sort of want to see more comedy
Yes.
going forward, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't as good as me, though.
Oh, you keep doing this to me. No, dear.
No.
She was better
No.
by miles.
Seriously.
Sorry, what? I didn't say anything.
This is where we break up now.
Tom.
Sod. Let's get some news. News sponsored by DownTheTubes.net. Promoting comics on the web since 1998. Pipedream Comics Top 100 of 2019 announced, and the 2018 Festival Journal is published. Thank you. It's
Thank
always
you.
good. Right, so...
It always leaves me speechless.
That's what they all say. So, Pipedream Comics has launched its Indie and Small Press Comic of the Year 2018,
They have.
which, as we're recording today on the 15th of December, the winner will actually be announced.
Yes.
But we will just discuss, quickly run through the top 10.
Yes.
Will I just click on it, not the 20-11. We want the top 10.
Yes.
I'll keep an eye on that. It may well be announced while we're recording, in which case we'll get back to it.
Be like breaking news then.
Top 10, so well done to all these guys, is Away by John Late. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just pulling the phone away.
Yes, take the phone away from the electrical stuff.
And Grant Richards. You got Follow Me In by Katrina Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
You got Killtopia, which we'll be talking about today, Dave Cook and Craig Paton. Kingdom by John McNaught. Gateway City, Russell Olsen.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to read that. I've not read that yet, I must admit.
Yeah.
That's something. Needleman, which we'll be reviewing down the line, Martin Simpson. Pirate Fun, the first trial, Colin Bell and Neil Solomons. And then Red Rocket Comet by Mr. McGarvey.
How did he get in that up list, you know?
I don't really know.
No. It's been a glitch there.
Graham Puttock and Andy Clift, and also Captain Cosmic, which we're also going to look at today. The Adventures of Captain Cosmic.
You have to say it like that. You can't not say it.
Oh, and finally, sorry, I nearly missed one then. Wolf by Rachel Bell, which we've already reviewed.
Amazing.
So congratulations to all those. Now they also did they did a full top 100.
They did.
Was anyone in it that might be noticeable?
I don't know. I don't know. There was no one.
No
one like me.
You?
I was in it. Do you know? I went around work when you texted me and told me. I was so made up. I was chuffed to bits. I'm number 89, and it was awesome.
Number 89.
Yeah.
No, it was good. To be fair, considering we weren't expecting anything.
I didn't think I'd ever
whatsoever.
turn up on anything like that. So, thank you. I'd like to thank my agent, Ian, the person who kicks me out the bum, Ian, and of course, my mother for giving birth to me in the first place.
Your mother?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, well done.
Thank you very much.
You've had some spout of enthusiasm.
I have.
Over a new comic.
Yes.
As well.
Yes, it came to me. Like Anxiety Me came to me in a flash, this new one has come to me in a flash. Is
this comic flash or TV series flash or movie flash?
Wow. Definitely comic flash. So, yeah, because of the cat one, I'm not happy with it. How bad is that? You work hard on something and then you just thinking...
You're probably not the only one.
No, I don't think it is. And it's a shame. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to finish it off. But this one came to me and I saw the entire thing in my mind. And I had to start getting it on paper. So
what is the idea behind this?
It's friendship.
We'll get back to the news in a sec.
Who needs news? Just listen about me.
Sounds about right.
This one would be about friendship. I'm aiming it more at a younger audience. Obviously, like Anxiety Me, without words as such. The same with this one, so it can be understood by everyone.
Are you like the Charlie Chaplin of comics?
I do silent comics.
Do we send an MP3 with music as well?
Yes, you have to play this alongside
blinky,
it.
Blonky, blinky, blonky, blink, blink.
There is no peril in it. So anyway, yeah, so the main character is a fox in this one. And he goes on a little adventure to try and... Well, he's chasing a leaf. I mean, it all makes sense when you see it.
There is images up, but you need to stop putting any more up.
No more will come up. No, well, I've got it here if I just look through a Twitter feed. No more pictures will be going up. Shocker. So you got the first 2 pages I've put up. But there will be no more.
No more.
The
2018 Festival Journey, which we didn't get
or
in.
Even journal.
We didn't get in. Or journal. We didn't get in because we didn't find the guy who was walking around talking to people.
Did we not? Oh, damn.
So it's now available to read free online, which we'll put a link up. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of it.
So comic journalist Graham McNee interviewed over 25 guest volunteers, staff, and a sheep.
Where was the sheep?
In a field.
Just wandering around. It really like comics.
But it's really cool. I like what they've done. I like the way that's a neat way to just to get the story.
It chronicles it, which is in
including
a good way.
the spider pig scene, which is vital. And in fact, looking at the picture where he stood, we were probably next to him. He could have spoken to us.
Oh no! He was like, "Not them." I've heard about them. Not them.
He also has put in. He was the blind bus driver on the evening, which we weren't. We have been again since.
Yes.
Well worth having a drinky booze there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Lovely. So I'd like to see it printed. Actually, I don't know if they're going to. I'm not sure. I'll find out.
You do that.
I think I will. But yeah, no, it's really cool. Really cool little comic. So completely free to go and read.
Yep.
And if you're interested in the festival at all, I think it's worth doing. Okay, so let's do some reviews.
Review me.
Well, Okay, sorry. A little bit short.
Nothing wrong with being short.
So let's read The Adventures of why? Right.
You go too fast.
Yeah. The Adventures of Captain Cosmic.
That's
Danger on Devron 7. I had to count then. 5, 6, 7. Is that bad?
Yes.
Why?
That's so bad.
So this is a fairly recent release on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
I got both of them actually, the first and the second. It's best one word to describe this is retro.
Oh yeah.
It's very much it feels like I'm trying to think what era to class it as.
I think it's kind of like 50s, 60s, that kind of Batman and Robin, swashbuckling, Haley's Comet, that kind of thing.
It's got a very, I'm going to say simple because it was a lot simpler back then in the way that they designed the story and it was more friendly for everyone to read it. You never had to worry about a kid opening this and opening the comics back then. Even Batman, Spider-Man, all of them, they all had that sort of family vibe.
Yeah.
So the art again is just like it was from back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, and even including the paper feels it all looks a little bit like it is.
Yeah, because it's slightly yellow, the paper, isn't it? If you open it out.
So the story follows Captain Cosmic as in both things, he goes out to save.
He saves
the people.
Saves a planet.
Saves people in dire need.
People with gloop on their faces.
Along with Kid Cosmic. He goes to a planet which, like you say, is attacked by slime.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the best way to call it.
Gloop.
Taking over the minds of these poor people.
Yes.
And Captain Cosmic has to work out and solve what's going on.
But it's okay because Kid Cosmic.
Kid Cosmic, yeah. Not as annoying as Robin.
No, she's not.
No one's as annoying as Robin used to be. So I think it's something completely different.
It's a fun romp.
It is. That's the way to put it. It is just a fun comic to enjoy and read.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd recommend going and have a search for that. The third one is coming up Kickstarter next year, I believe. Mm-hmm. So well worth checking that out.
Yep.
The next one is one of your favourites, the Tut Groan Collection by Tom Nash. So I'm going to pass this one over to you first of all. Read the blurb.
There won't be blurb.
No. So what's this all about?
Tut Groan Comics.
I like the way you're holding that up.
I know,
like you're on
you're
video.
going to be able to see it. Are just little comics of like, you get either like 3-panel ones or just a picture. And it's just a play on words. Some of them are political, some of them are just a little bit rude. And I love them. I love them with a passion. They're just little stick men.
So this is the type of thing that if I was clever enough to think up these little things, it's how I draw it.
It's the joke. It's the joke.
It's the writing.
All about
it's not about
the
the art. It's all about
but
the writing.
But the art fits it so well.
Oh, yeah.
So I've just opened it here. I've literally just opened the page.
Are you going to do as a...
No.
All right.
There's a little stick man standing on a block, new kid on the block. Who's that? No idea. Brilliant. It just makes me chuckle. If you're having a bad day at work, just pick that up, have a flick through, and it makes me chuckle. And it makes my 15-year-old son laugh because that's the humour that you get. I love it. I love it.
I mean, it's the type of thing you'd find in a newspaper back in the day, isn't it?
Yes.
Just your little picture, little comedy.
But to have them all, because I mean, they're up on Twitter.
Yeah, I think
like every day.
Generally puts it all free, doesn't it, and stuff. But everyone's nice collection.
Yeah, you just look at it, making a mean coffee. No, I'm not. Trust you to see that one. It's like making a mean coffee. He's looking at the coffee and it's going, "You're nothing. No one will ever love you." It's just, it makes me chuckle.
So cockfight is just two men standing fairly close to each other.
Yes. Yeah, obviously it's not, it's nothing rude.
It's just, like a carry-on film.
It's just, it makes me laugh and it makes me chuckle. And what more can you want, really? If you just want something just to flick through and just, like I say, having a bad day, just pick it up, let it open up a page and just read the quick little joke and makes everything better.
Which just shows, again, we've got different types, 3 different completely types of comics we're reviewing here. A fun romp.
Yep.
Something so simple but humorous,
But hilarious.
very clever.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to review in a second, Killtopia, which is more like an in-depth.
Well, that's
story.
an adult story, isn't it? Yeah.
It's it's amazing what comics and art can do when you look into it and you don't think Batman, Superman.
Yes,
Spider-Man,
yeah. If you just step to the side and see the rest of them.
I was trying to think of the song then. Take a step to your left.
The side to the right.
Anyway.
Put your hands on your hips.
Best Christmas song ever.
What, the Time Warp?
Finally, Killtopia by Dave Cook and Craig Paton, which has been a huge release this year. Kickstarter book 2 in March is going live, I believe. So keep an eye on that. So this has got blurb. Blurb it out.
I'm blurbing. Welcome to Killtopia, the most brutal blood sport on... I can't speak now. I've got your disease now, Ian. The most brutal blood sport on the planet. A neon-drenched mega-city in future Japan has been overrun by killer mecha, and humanity is being torn apart by a vicious nanoplague. Life officially sucks. Tooled-up bounty hunters who enter the Killtopia hunting grounds salvage the rabid machines for money, power, and glory. Shinji, a rookie wrecker, finds Crash, the world's first sentient mecha. The unlikely duo team up to cure the nanoplague once and for all. With android assassins, crazed Yakuza crime lords, and every wrecker in Japan on their tail, can they survive long enough to heal the world?
Heal the world.
I don't think it's going to be a song.
Make it a better place. For you and for me and the entire robots place.
Oh.
Yeah, so I can understand why this has come out as such a big thing. I love the art style in the comic. It's very... It uses specific colours. Yes. Like the yellow for the sky and so forth, which gives it a different vibe and a different look to your everyday comic as such.
What I thought was like, you've got quite a lot of pastel colours.
Yeah.
And then it's so violent. Oh, such lovely pinks. Oh.
Yes. Oh, look at that blood dripping out of his cheek. It's so nice. But it's got, obviously, Mike talked about it a lot last episode. We just wanted to put a little point on it. It just, the colours, as I say, that make it stand out. Something so different in the way it looks at the futuristic world. Yeah. Obviously, a futuristic world which we wouldn't want to live in at all. But also, I mean, it runs back to films such as The Running Man and so forth.
Yes, I felt Running Man when I read it.
Watching that kind of enjoying what's going on out there. And that vibe is scary. But then also at the same point, we enjoy watching these films and entertainment like that because we think, well, actually, we probably enjoy stuff like that.
Oh, it'd be terrible, but the
human
terrible. Race would watch it. Throughout
it's
history,
like Gladiators, exactly the same sort of thing, isn't it, at the end of the day?
We've watched that kind of thing. People went to hangings and stuff, so yeah. Yeah.
No, but I thought it was really good fun. Interesting story. Finishes on major cliffhanger. And I'm looking forward to the second book.
Yeah, I could see it as a film.
Yeah. Or
There's
TV
a few
series.
books that you could see actually crossing over to the big screen, and
I'm sure Dave Cook is very happy for you to say that. Please, somebody sign him up. Superb. So next episode, in regards to no review, we'll do our top 10. Top 10 of the year.
Top 10 of the year.
I will get Top of the Pops music and everything.
I was going to sing it then. It's like,
no,
Nikki,
that'd
don't.
be awful.
Sure.
Absolutely awful.
What are you saying?
So
Voice of an angel.
In a minute, we've got our chat with Aaron Rackley, which we'll talk a little bit about briefly afterwards. But first, Mike, there are a few rules when you're thinking about Mike. First rule is...
No one talks about Mike's mutterings.
Second rule is...
No one talks about Mike's mutterings.
We've messed this up. Anyway, here's Mike's mutterings.
Mike's mutterings.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mike's Mutterings. In this episode I'll be discussing something very dear to me. It's an exclusively comic sequel to one of my favourite books and films of all time. Chuck Palahniuk's Fight Club. So I guess we start with a Fight Club 101. I'd never actually heard of Palahniuk or Fight Club when I accidentally stumbled on a copy of the book in a Chester bookstore, I believe, back in '96. It had a weird cover with Fight Club stamped onto what I now realise was a bar of soap. But the back jacket blurb just caught me. It's one of those few books that I read in my life that by the end of just the first chapter I kind of knew it was something that was going to change you. I've read and reread over and over again many books, films, comics, and each time you fall a little bit more in love with them. But it's quite rare to get your hands on something that you know just after a few pages that it's going to be something really special. So, what's the book about? The protagonist of the book has no name and is known only as the narrator. He hates his dull job and endless business travel, and his world seems repetitive. He is also a far too willing a participant in mass consumerism. His emptiness in his life is exacerbated by his chronic insomnia, and it's only when he finds release in the form of support groups that he begins to slowly pull his life back a bit. By pretending to have a life-threatening disease, he's able to find comfort in the company of strangers, and despite this deception, he finds his elusive sleep. It's at this time he meets the mysterious and enigmatic Tyler Durden for the first time. When he discovers fellow faker Marla Singer in his support group meetings, he once again loses his elusive sleep, as he can't feel comfortable in front of another faker. This is followed by him losing his apartment and all worldly possessions in a freak gas explosion. This newfound state of nothingness drives him more and more towards Tyler, which results in the forming of an underground fight club and onto the eventual forming of an urban terrorist anarcho-splinter group dubbed Project Mayhem. The twist, which I assume you all know, is still my favourite in all fiction. For me, it was such a truly unique and complex story. I quickly became fascinated also about how different people interpreted the story, its themes and morals. On the surface, it's a look at the definition of masculinity in the modern era. This is linked strongly with the role of fathers as gods or mentors as well. But it actually contains so much more social and global politics. When it picks up the simple topic of consumerism and satires it, it then takes it to the extreme level of the narrator realising that it's only when he frees himself of all material goods can he meet his potential as a person, even if that potential is to be a godlike figure to disenfranchised men in a quasi-fascist terror group. There are many critics who took exception to the book. It did have quite a lot of bad press, which isn't surprising given Palahniuk's ability to repeatedly shock and offend. The violence alone brought much condemnation, but the purely heterosexual perspective of events was heavily criticised by many groups. Which is ironic, as many years later, Palahniuk actually revealed himself to be gay and in a same-sex relationship since the early 90s. But I really do see how criticism like this, can actually form, because the reader is left to their own decisions on whether the writer is endorsing or satirising a topic. But Fight Club finally entered the global psyche in 1999, when director David Fincher brought the story to film. The casting of Brad Pitt, Ed Norton and Helena Bonham Carter, and let's not forget Meatloaf, was just inspired. This film, for me personally, was close to perfection. It encapsulated the brutality, the satire and the in-your-face of the book perfectly. Fincher embraced using the medium of film to add another dimension to Fight Club. The visuals he created actually earned an Oscar for the effects, and it provided some of the most iconic cinematic moments. The way he treated the killer twist as well was so clever, and it can only truly be appreciated on repeated viewings of the film. And the apocalyptic ending scene? Well, that was accompanied by the Pixies' Where Is My Mind, one of my favourite bands of all time, and I still get goosebumps when I watch it. This was a big budget film though, and for an 18-rated film with controversial content, it was a big risk. Despite being an Oscar winner, it was a commercial flop at the cinema. Global everyman appeal is not something that this film possesses, but as one of the first major films released on the new format of DVD, it actually did very well. It found its audience with home viewing, and it topped the sales charts. This drove many people back to the original book, and once again the book hit the bestseller lists. And soon pretty much every adult in the country knew the first 2 rules of Fight Club. With mass appeal comes consequences, though. So let's talk about Fight Club. The author himself still gets asked where the local branch is. Fight clubs did exist before the book, but they were far removed from how Palahniuk portrayed them. They were simply underground fighting rings for profit and gambling. However, following the film and the book, fight clubs were set up in real life using the same 8 rules as stated in the book for the purposes of consensual fighting and self-empowerment. Weirdly enough, they propagated amongst one particular group wildly, and that's the IT tech industry. Back then I was working for a .com, and I remember the stories of Silicon Valley fight clubs even now. But what about the darker aspect of Fight Club, Project Mayhem? Project Mayhem is based on Chuck's own membership to the Cacophony Society. This society and its predecessor, the Suicide Club, are a network of like-minded individuals who want to revel in life, with a very much anarchistic attitude. They organise events to explore restricted areas like private skyscrapers or abandoned military complexes. They alter billboard campaigns, or they do product replacements, such as when they infiltrated a department store and replaced its teddy bears with ones filled with concrete, adding the price tag and scan codes back on. Whilst a member of this society, Palahniuk actually incorporated many of the stories he heard about other pranks into Fight Club, and these formed the origins of Project Mayhem. Inevitably, though, real-life Project Mayhem reared its head, and many Fight Club copycat pranks, including the notorious food tampering ones, were reported. The author ended up having to address this in one of his later works, where he actually wrote a piece called Monkey See, Monkey Do, that details some of the pranks that he knew that were Fight Club inspired. Now fast forward. News comes that a sequel to Fight Club is in the works, not only by original author Chuck Palahniuk, but it will also be in comic format. By now, you can imagine that this is a huge deal for me, with the potential to either blow me away or break my heart. It was by pure chance that I looked at the comic list for Free Comic Book Day 2015 and saw that Fight Club 2, Issue 0, was one of the freebies that came on that day. So that became my goal, and it took 3 comic stores to make sure I got it. Sebastian, for that is who the narrator now calls himself, is shown in a mental hospital following the events of the original film. It gives a great recap of the original novel, and you need to understand that this follows the novel, not the film. There's only subtle differences. Thinking that Tyler is gone, he finds himself surrounded by Project Mayhem disciples who know that Tyler will return soon. It was only a taster, but it felt right. The tone was good. Chuck obviously understood how to write for comics, and Cameron Stewart's artwork complemented the story perfectly. My confidence was high. The 10-issue story arc started later that year in May, with Chuck writing still and Cameron still on art duties, with Dave Stewart on colours. The story is 10 years on from Fight Club, and Sebastian is now living the mundane family life, having married Marla Singer, a woman who actually fell in love with Tyler. Heavily medicated, he works on a desk job for a military contractor firm called Rise or Die. And they have a child together. Yes, Sebastian is now the father figure. Staying spoiler-free, I think that the return of Tyler is probably a given, and the book explores the theme of father and mentor, or second father, heavily, with the kidnapping of Sebastian's son by Tyler. The story splits between Marla and Sebastian trying to recover him. What I can say is that Palahniuk loses none of his love or edge in writing for Tyler. Events from the first film repeat themselves, literally for a new generation. Project Mayhem gives way to Project Chaos with a new global agenda, and we go on a journey that forces the reader to consider the question, what exactly is Tyler? And it gets meta. Oh boy, does it get meta. Some of what Chuck manages to do with this story are bold, to say the least. The content and themes are timely for our current political situation too, which is essential given the social changes, particularly on the US and European front, since the first film and book. Cameron's artwork gives homage to the lighting and mood of David Fincher's film, but does some really good play with occlusion, where objects on the page that are not part of the story, but merely placed on the page to obscure or distract, a sort of breaking the fourth wall technique that becomes important and actual part of the storytelling. The comic, like the film and like the book, is not a heavy read. It's fast-paced and snappy dialogue, but it's also clever and it's rich with so many ideas that idiot fanboys like me can wax lyrical about it. Many more of Palahniuk's books are destined for film, apart from Choke, that has already been made into one with the superb Sam Rockwell. Likewise, he will also be continuing to write for comics, following this his first foray into the field. And that's a big win for comics. I must say, there is another Palahniuk book that I feel is equal to Fight Club in both edge and scope, and that's Survivor. It's been in movie production standstill for a long time due to certain aspects of the book that mirrored, unfortunately, real-life events. But I just hope it gets greenlit or makes it into the comics at least. I'll leave you with a notable quote from the original Fight Club. "You are not special. You're not a beautiful and unique snowflake. You're the same decaying organic matter as everything else. We're all part of the same compost heap. We're all singing, all dancing crap of the world." It's a great quote, and it's how Fight Club is divisive and open to interpretation. Because yes, the alt-right movement actually took the insultive term snowflake from Tyler Durden's Project Mayhem indoctrination speech. The irony of that aside, it goes to show how the philosophy and work of Fight Club pervades our world to this day. And did you notice how I got through all of that and still not reveal the twist? Till next time.
We're here today with Aaron Rackley. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
So Aaron is now what's your actual position? Obviously, you're running Little Heroes Comics and Fair Spark Books, but is it director, publisher?
Or
what would you class yourself as?
Jack of everything. I do everything and anything.
Okay.
To get it to keep them going and running. So
yeah.
Bit of everything.
Okay. Well, we'll go into those in a moment.
All the everything.
All the everything. First of all, can you just tell us what got you into comics growing up? What was any particular title that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much like everyone else. It was always the Marvel kind of Spider-Man, and I think it was Fantastic Four and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. On the really cheap ones that you got in the newspaper, newsagents.
Yeah.
But my big love comes from Silver Surfer. So I pretty much collect anything I can get my hands on that potentially has the Silver Surfer in it.
Okay.
So whether it's a cover, inside, or anything like that, because I've always just liked his character more than most things. So just pretty much Silver Surfer all the way, really. So that has taken me across many books, as you all would know. So he dips in a bit of everywhere, doesn't he?
What is it about Silver Surfer in particular you like?
First of all, I think it was just the expanse of space, and it was just the different worlds, the different creatures he was meeting, and it was the struggle he always had with never being able to go home. And well, at first he didn't know who he was, but when he finally figured it out and he couldn't go home, and then there's that longful lust of not being able to be the one with who he loves, and so on and so on. It's very, very grown up storylines. I think that are not a lot more big than usually the Spider-Man ones and stuff go into.
Yeah.
So I've always been drawn into that. Like one of my favorite ones is when it's actually when the Stan Lee meets Silver Surfer, and obviously Galactus comes to Stan Lee and's been like, "Look, old Sylvie over here is a bit depressed. Go and sort him out." So that's my favorite one, when he just figuring out why Silver Surfer's just so sad. And
well, just Stan Lee's everywhere, let's be honest. Everything he does, he was there.
Yeah, so that's one of my favourite ones, actually.
So what did you think about the second Fantastic Four movie, then, in a way? They use a character in that.
I have love and hate. Right?
I think that says a lot, but yeah.
Oh.
I love and hate, because I love the fact he was in it, but then I hate the fact he was just like almost like a drone, wasn't he? He just didn't really have any...
There was nothing at all, really.
Nothing to him. And I'm hoping, you never know, in the next age of Marvel Universe, they might bring him in, you never know.
Well, now they've got the rights again.
Well, they have, haven't they? Yeah.
It could happen.
It seems to be going spacey, so, yeah.
And they're about to essentially probably restart the universe, fingers crossed, as well, with the next Avengers. That'd be nice, so we'll see. Excellent. I've noticed on the site as well, on your personal site, you do collecting real art as well, is that right, comic art?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of it, but I really want to get some.
To be fair, we've just been looking around, haven't we, ourselves, our walls. We've got prints of plenty, but yeah, we'd like some proper art.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm really trying really hard. I want to save up to get some from from Michael Red, from the recent run, because I noticed on Twitter the other day he said he's starting to sell them, so that's something to look out for. But I don't know, I tend to only have sketches done by people I meet.
Yeah.
Not actual Silver Surfer artists as well. What I like to get is, I'm trying to build a wall eventually once I buy a house, but I want the wall that has a load of Silver Surfer sketches by people who have never actually been part of Silver Surfer
That's nice,
in the mainstream way. Because I like to see how people's approaches are. So.
And that gives them something different to draw, because they get fed up of drawing whatever characters they're used to doing. Don't they? Let's be honest.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Excellent. Is there any particular piece you'd really want other than that new one? Anything from the past?
Oh, do you know what? I've always wanted the cover. Well, I want the issue. I'm still trying to get some of the first run issues.
Okay.
But I really want issue 4, and if I can get the cover for issue 4, where he is like actually fighting Thor on the front cover, that would be really nice.
Nice.
So I'd like an original art of that, but I don't even know.
I was going to say, if it even exists, to be fair.
Might be waiting a long time.
So yourself, you've done a little bit of writing and a bit of drawing yourself. What is it that got into you into that sort of that side?
I didn't really start doing any of that until I started the charity one. Anything. It was just when we had the anthologies and being more involved in the world that's going on around comics and the creation of it. I just every now and then I'm like, how can I dip in and have a little go as well? So I attempted like a 4-page story in one of the anthologies. I'm, as you say on my website, I'm dabbling in trying to draw my own one. I come back to that every now and then. I'm actually doing a 2-page piece for a writer at the moment, which I don't know what's going to happen to it, but that's been quite fun. But with the charity and the Fair Spark stuff that I do as well, I tend to do most of the book layouts.
Okay, yeah.
So I take all the pages, all the pieces and everything, and then actually get it ready for print. So that's a lot of time. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying that, actually. It makes me think that wasting a few years at university wasn't a waste.
So let's talk about Fair Spark Books then. Just give us a brief rundown about what the company is if no one's heard about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very new publishing house. I think we've only been going 5 months now. So we've come out of the depths of the back of Little Heroes comics. So for anyone that's followed the charity for a while, you know that we do now it's become 2 a year anthology. So as part of that, we wanted to break out the production of and the handling of the actual book side of that from the charity itself into its own little entity on the side, and also try and build up a bunch of books that the children that we actually send kits to would want to read. So that's where the Fair Sparks has come from. We're trying to build up a range of stories and books and worlds. It's not just comics. We're doing some little paperback books, hardbacks, novels, that kind of stuff. We're experimenting a little bit at the moment. Yeah, and the idea is that we use a portion of everything we sell back into Little Heroes Comics, but we also send a box of our range to the hospitals alongside with the kits now as well. So that's the extra added element to it.
We'll get to Little Heroes in a minute, because that's the sort of the big thing I feel you guys are doing. In regards to selecting comics for Fair Spark, what are you looking for then? Because there's not many. Certainly, it's not many small publishers out there that just deal with kids' comics. That's for sure. Yeah. If any, what is it you're looking for in comics?
At the moment, we're trying to find a range. So there's a couple of criteria. We have stuff that's just supposed to be fun, like pure fun, all ages, no adult material, maybe a cheeky little what you call those Disney jokes. Yeah, you only understand when you're older.
Yeah.
A few of those, but the other ones that we're trying to build up to, and we've got a couple on the back line, is more story based, that are based around like emotional themes, and we're trying to get that right, and that's why there's none that have come out yet, because we don't want to just go, oh, here's like a very sad person, why are they sad, blah blah blah, and we don't want to half attempt that.
Yeah. So
we're trying to find the best creators and the best writers who are already doing that kind of work and trying to aim it at children. And that's the thing that we're finding interesting the most, is that there's a lot of creators that we're speaking to who have primarily done adult comics that are really excited of the idea of trying to attempt doing it for children, because it's definitely a different skill set.
I think the problem as well is when you create a comic for a child, how do you get it out there as a solo creator? Because generally you're sat behind a desk selling your comics. You don't get many kids coming up to you and selling. Yeah. Whereas when you've got someone like yourself who's specifically dealing with this aspect, surely it makes it a bit easier for those creators to create and get the work out there.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're hoping to try and build upon, and what we hope to bring to the creators that work with us is that, yes, you can go with another company and get straight into Diamond, etc., and things like that, which we are working towards. But our primary focus is avenues that are aimed towards kids. So we're trying to build up a library base, a school base, all these kind of areas, and the hospitals as well. And trying to put the books in kids' hands rather than waiting for the kids to try and find us at a con or a zine or scene there or stuff like that. So it's a big learning curve for us as well. But we're hoping to alleviate that from the creators and just let them get on with telling their story, that they want to take that headache away.
So we spoke with John Freeman once quite a while back about how it is a challenge at the minute for creators of kids comics, because there's just not any space for them on the shelves unless you've got the money.
Yeah, the money was
the silly money behind it, like the Beano or so forth, to get it out there. Have you found it a challenge when kids are looking, or are kids finding these comics and then changing the perceptions, do you feel?
We're still very much learning and still very much finding rejections and troubles. Getting, like you say, you need a lot of money to push into the W.H. Smiths, the Waterstones, stuff like that. And we're having those conversations at the moment, and because we've only been around for a little period of time and we don't have that big initial funding to get in, we're just taking it one step at a time. Our creators know that we're going to take it slow and we're going to do it right. So that's the first thing we tell them. We say, look, we'd love to work with you, but it is going to be a slow ride. Don't expect millions overnight, because we're not there.
But you're promising the millions down the line, is what you're saying.
Yeah. In a few years' time, minted. But what our primary focus is getting books into children's hands. Yeah. So if that means we get 200 or 1,000 of one comic, that's us happy. And if the creators are happy with that also, then we know we've done the right thing. So if anyone knows any good ways to get into more kids, let us know. We'll definitely take it.
So let's talk a little bit about Little Heroes as well then. So why did you set this charity up? What was the purpose behind it?
So I'll try and give the very short version. So in 2013, I got myself diagnosed with cancer. All fine. Literally got my final clear a month ago, I think it was.
Excellent.
As close as they can say to being cured. And then when I first came out of hospital, I started to try and do like the fundraising things to give back to the hospital and how can I help, all that kind of stuff. And I'd done like a fundraising run, you know, that kind of general fundraising that people do. Yeah. But I wanted to give back in a more physical way than just throwing money at something. So I sat down for a long time and I was conversing with my fiance, and then eventually I come up with the idea of, oh, you know what, I'll just send some drawing kits to the kids in the class, to the hospital. It'll be fine, right? And so I put up a fundraising site. I need £1,000. I'm going to attempt to make 100 basic comic drawing kits. My fiance thought I'd never do it. She was like, "You always have ideas, Aaron." And then I got the £1,000, and I was like, "Oh, now I have to actually do it." So eventually, we managed to get all the bits together, and we got some artists to help out, design the logo, build the little pack itself, and then we got that out, and then we just started getting reached out by play therapists and a couple of other hospitals that had been in touch with the hospital that we'd sent them to in the first place. And then we just had so many. It was like, well, we really need to carry on doing this. There's people that want it. There's kids that need it. And at first, for me, it wasn't even about therapy. It wasn't anything like that. It was, I just wanted kids to have something fun to do. Because I remember when I was in hospital, unless you have the internet and had money to pay the internet, there wasn't a lot to do. And I was unfortunately I think I was just over 25, which meant I weren't in the teenage ward, which meant I didn't get all the cool PlayStations. So I had comics, I sat down, and I had the internet. So I wanted them to have the ability to have comics, draw comics. And at first, originally, it was like, well, how about we give them comics as well? But there's a lot of red tape, a lot of paperwork around getting books signed off and what's appropriate for children and stuff like that. So we just scrapped that idea and went purely with drawing. So after that, we got funded by the National Lottery for the ability to make 1,000 kits. So it's been very much full steam since then. Refining, making it better, the trouble is it keeps getting bigger, which obviously means it costs more. Every kit is just getting more. I'm like, throw another pencil in. I'm sure they'll love a rubber. How about an A4 book? How about this? So the price of the kit keeps going up, but the only thing that can drop that is if I make, instead of 1,000, 10,000 or something like that. So that's 2019.
So how much roughly does a kit cost currently to get out to a kid?
So if we were to take in consideration just the whole year of how much it costs to physically do the charity, last year our charity cost just over £14,000.
Okay.
Sorry, I think I've dropped my mic then.
So
so last year it cost just over £14,000. So if we equate that to 1,000 kits, that's £14 each. So, but that's including having to fundraise, travel around trying to give them out, all this kind of stuff. But to actually physically make them is only about £8. That's including postage. So, but we want to get that right down. Because the other thing as well, we've had so many people reach out to us and say, well, can you sell us a kit? We want them for our kid. We want them for that. And we think that's an amazing opportunity for us to fundraise, is to be able to sell the kit as well for a bit more than what we'd charge, But we can't do that until we can buy in bulk. So.
Okay. Well, I must admit, you've done so much. I mean, it's jumped out to us on social media, the amount you've done in bringing out so many books through Fair Spark Media, but also the work you've done with the anthologies. and the work you've done recently with, which we backed, the latest Kickstart, Springworth.
Yep.
It just shows the drive and the momentum you've had around it. I must say it's been amazing, to be fair.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
really
I think
has.
it's been, when did we start? March, April last 2017 we started everything. That's when we officially started charity, I think. It's hard to remember these days. It's all a blur. Yeah, so it's 18, 20, 19 months, something like that. So, I know it's another Christmas.
Yeah, that's how it goes. As you get older, it gets even worse. So, Springworth, so that's been quite a success as well, fairly recently. Yes. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's coming out in February for general release, isn't it?
Yeah, so as I keep saying, the kit, I just can't stop adding to it. I don't know why, it's a compulsion. So the next thing was, when we first started making it, we had these, Dan Harris made us some really nice A5 little how to draw a woman's face, how to draw a man's face, a woman's body and a man's body, just to put in the kit when we first created it. But over time, I wanted to extend that into a booklet of things to learn from, to go with the kit. And after having a chat with Tony and Andy and saying, look, this is what I want to do. What do you guys think? And they jumped on board, and it changed from being a typical how-to guide to this Springworth how to make comics adventure draw along magazine that we just had kickstarted. So the idea is we kickstarted enough to put into the next 1,000 kits that we potentially make and send out, and a few left over to obviously sell when we're at cons or give out in workshops or into hospitals and other little play groups and stuff as a way of getting round. So it was amazing. We set out a target for only £750, I think, and we were just shy of doubling it. I think we was just. I think we were like 98%, 198%. So
I think,
really, really happy.
From what I've seen of it, obviously I've not seen a finished product yet, but to me it looks ideal for schools. It really does. It's the type of thing I could imagine a school handing out to the kids and giving them activities based around it.
Yeah.
So that's your next task.
Yeah, well, we do. Well, I say we do. I've been having conversations with a few people on the side about having an educational program go along with it, because we have been reached by teachers as well who want some for their classroom, and we're not against that. We are primarily a charity for kids in hospitals and stuff like that, but as definitely a way of expanding what we can do and how we can help, that is definitely something we're looking into. But we want to provide an educational syllabus to go with it. We don't want to just go, here's 30 kits, go nuts in your classroom. We want to say, look, why don't you get them to try and create a story? Here's an idea, that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're having some good responses from that so far. So we're looking at like late 2019, I think, before any of that comes to fruition.
We just see, the Everington brothers are ones that sort of jump out to me. How the effects they have with the kids when they go to those classes, or even when we've seen them at the lakes. The kids just love what they're creating as well as their personalities. I think anything like that is just brilliant for them, to be honest.
I wish I could bottle whatever they have when they're on stage, because
I often think that when I meet them.
That would be amazing.
They are fantastic.
I just want their energy.
Fantastic. Yeah. I don't think I had it when I was 5. Never mind.
They must have been a handful.
Well, yeah. Well, at least one of them.
But no, we've obviously met them quite a few times now at conventions, and we've had long chats about what we're doing and stuff. And obviously, in our last anthology, Lorenzo put one of his how-to guides in the back of that as well.
Brilliant.
So we love what they do. Hopefully, you never know, we might be able to do something. If you're listening, help.
I was going to say, I know they don't. I know they don't listen, but if they were to, we've asked them before. Even though they've been on, they don't want to listen.
I don't think they have the time.
I don't think they do.
But we can protest and make them do something.
We can.
Oh, just ask them nicely.
We'll just ask them.
Brilliant. So what are your plans then for 2019? You've got a selection of comics coming out. Can you announce anything in particular?
We've got a younger children's book coming out called Snuffy and Zoey, which is about these two little adventure bears that go into their toy box to have adventures. And the first book, they steal a cupcake from a dragon, and all hell breaks loose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's quite a fun young one we've got coming out. We've got a graphic novel coming out. Well, not a graphic novel, sorry. It's a... what's it called? It's illustrated book.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a graphic novel as such.
No.
It's just full page and bit of text. I forget the technical term now.
Illustrated book.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what
Why are you making
mine
me
is.
do this at midnight? I don't know. So yeah, we got that one coming out, and that the artwork. I'll send you some later on Skype so you can have a look.
Okay.
It's just beautiful. I will tweet one out as well tomorrow so that anyone wants to go and have a look, have a lovely look at the pictures. But again, we've got the Gallant and Nameless still ongoing.
Yeah.
We've still got Megatomic Battle ongoing. There's still 2 more issues of that in the pipework. And there's a few more ones I can't mention yet because they haven't been announced. But
one of the things I do like, which is very different to other companies, is you can just buy a subscription of the comics coming out on your website. I was having a look. I really like that. The fact that you can buy a full set of comics. Which
yeah, we're planning on doing that for any book that we know we're committed to a certain length. So that we can say, look, you're definitely getting all 6 of these. They're not going to be stopped. They're not going to be based on sales if they carry on. They are.
Yeah.
We promise 4, you're going to get 4.
No, I like that. So you can,
like
you can
that
subscribe
as
to your other comics, but not small publishers don't tend to do that, or independency. It's just buy whenever. But yeah, I like that little set. I do like that. One of the things which we've discussed is we wanted to support a charity for next year. And as we discussed for yourself, we've decided it's got to be you guys.
Yep.
We don't see any other sort of charity really pushing comics.
No.
And it links the way you guys are doing it. So for everyone listening, from beginning next year, we will have promotions running throughout the shows. And we're also going to do something.
I'm still going to shave you.
Something to pull some money in. I'm not sure what yet. So listen out for that. And the longer they take to decide, the stupider it's probably going to be. So, yeah, we're happy to do that. And I know we just said we're doing it. You didn't have a choice virtually.
Just got a text message.
But I think anything anyone can do to help something like this, then why not? I recently purchased a couple of the anthologies for a friend's daughter in a hospital, and he sent a picture. She was so happy to receive them. But the thing I found really interesting is, even though he's a complete nerd, the dad, she'd never read a comic before in her life. Oh. So that, as well as making a day in the hospital, has possibly brought her into the world of comics.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fingers crossed. So, yeah, it just shows. And I wouldn't have thought of sending comics if it wasn't for you promoting the charity and doing things within hospitals. So,
thank you.
It shows it's another aspect that you're helping out there.
Yeah, I sit here behind the screen doing all this stuff, and then every now and then I get a photo like that, or I get a letter, and you realise exactly the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so I always love getting a photo.
So have you got any plans for 2019 as far as Comic Cons or anything?
Well, we're still reaching out to a few. We've definitely got True Believers in February.
I'd love to go there. It's just too far.
I don't know what the finalising of the plans are, but I think Andy Hanks, our artist of the magazine, will be doing a workshop on how to draw robots or something like that.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for them to confirm, but I think we're just going to give a magazine to everyone that turns up. Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, there you go.
If they want me still. Yeah. Obviously trying to get into the big MCM.
Yeah.
Obviously trying to get into the lakes. Wink.
We will do anything we can, which isn't much, but we will try.
But generally, if anyone rings us up and says, would you like your charity to come to our event? We'll try our best to go. Usually it's me on a train with 2 massive suitcases getting wet when it pours down. So,
but anything to get the name out there.
I'll turn up. Yeah, I'll turn up.
Excellent. Excellent. So where, if people are interested in either the charity or in Fair Spark Books, you can give all the links out now. You've got so many probably there to do.
Well, I'll just do the websites because you can get to everywhere else from there. So the Little Heroes is obviously littleheroescomics.co.uk and fairsparksbooks.co.uk. Both pretty simple. And obviously just type either of those into Twitter or Facebook and you should find us.
And if anyone buys any comics, then they're giving a little bit to the charity, which I think's vital and important to understand. So if you've got any kids out there, Christmas presents, I believe you're doing free wrapping as well. So
I will wrap with the best ability I have.
You probably haven't got only a few days left, but go and grab them now. Excellent. Thank you very much, Aaron.
No, thank you for having me.
Need a podcast all about comics topics, reviews, and just general chit-chat? Then join
David Robertson,
Fernando Pons, Mike Sadakat, Giuseppe Lambertino,
and me, Tom Stewart, at That Comic Smell. You can find us on SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes, and on Twitter and Instagram at That Comic Smell. Pull up a chair and join us.
Howdo, welcome to Breakdowns, the comic art section of the podcast. I'm Pete Taylor, I'm a small press comics creator and illustrator. Online I trade as This Man This Pete, and today I'm talking art books. I've raided my inspiration shelf where I keep all the books by and about my favourite artists, a mix of biographies, sketchbooks, collections and coffee table tomes. If you need a last minute present, you might still have time to order one of these. Or maybe if you get some cold, hard cash from your Auntie Doris for Christmas, you could spend it on one of these titles. The first book I'm going to talk about is called From Light to Shadow, The Life and Art of Mort Meskin, from Fantagraphic Books, written by Stephen Brower with Peter and Philip Meskin. I've become interested in the golden age of comics, particularly over the last few months, having written and delivered the profiles on Will Eisner and Jack Kirby. You know, I've become very interested in those formative years of the comic industry. And when certain names get mentioned that I'd not heard of before, I would go back and research or have a look into those figures. And one of the names which cropped up during the research for Steve Ditko's profile was Mort Meskin. Apparently, he was a real influence on Ditko. I think he was one of the lecturers when Ditko was in Jerry Robinson's comic creation class before he became a professional. He was a figure from around the time of the Iger studio, so he was there at the formative years of the comic industry. He was a contemporary of Jack Kirby. Apparently they were both well known for their speed. He was one of the few people, I think, that gets talked about as being faster than Kirby. When you look at his style, there's a real mix of the two titans, Ditko and Kirby, especially that early sort of 50s Kirby, where the anatomy's still a little skinnier. He was known for his speed, like I say, but also more unusual ways of working. Apparently, he would colour the whole page in with pencil first, and then use a rubber to dig the highlights out before then finishing off with the pencils. Amazing use of light and shadow. The book itself reprints lots of early strips and examples, you know, very dynamic layout. I love the fluid figure work that he has on there. Some real characterful faces. It's lovely, lovely stuff. And then there's the biographical story of Mort himself. The author worked with his two sons. He seemed to have it quite difficult. He had a couple of nervous breakdowns the pressure of deadlines and long hours, I think some family issues as well, meant that he had quite a hard time of it. So much so that when he did return to work, there is a story of him staring at a blank comic page and being unable to start. For somebody who was so prolific, it was a strange situation for him to find himself in. The workaround was found by a member of the studio. They placed a mark for him on the page, and just that seemed to be able to work for him. So then for every page, somebody would put a random mark on a blank page, and he was then able to carry on working. He did end up leaving the comics industry in the kind of implosion of the post-Wortham hearings and moved to advertising. But there's work from his comics, and then there's work from some of his advertising days and later paintings at a later part of his life. So really enjoyed it. A new and better appreciation of art of sort of 40s and 50s was gained through reading this. The next book is The Noble Approach, Maurice Noble and the Zen of Animation Design, written by Ted Paulson, based on the notes of Maurice Noble, published by Chronicle Books. Now, you probably know Maurice Noble best of all as being the background artist of the Looney Tunes cartoons. He worked really closely with Chuck Jones and many of the others. He had a long career in animation, from 40s Disney work right through to, I think, 80s, 90s, in the Roadrunner cartoon. The book itself is full of those colourful, slightly abstract background designs and some of his paintings. All the way through, though, it is an actual working animation sort of help book in the sense that it talks through every aspect that you should be considering when you are working. He felt that every tiny bit of any project should work towards the whole of that project. He was famous for having a group of animation students later in his years that were called, I think, Noble Boys, one of whom was Scott Morse, who is himself an extremely distinguished comics creator, and now I believe he's working at Pixar, produced, I think, the Night and Day short that was at the beginning of one of the more recent Pixar films. So he wrote a small board book about his working with Maurice and the lessons learnt. But the book breaks down all of the elements of a project, from research and inspiration, design, colour, layout, and then the final film. But it's not just for animation workers. It's just full of inspiration in terms of, for me, obviously the backgrounds, the life, the movement, the general direction of the eye that he discusses. So I really enjoyed reading and immersing myself in this world. That's The Noble Approach by Maurice Noble. And then the last book that I want to talk about is Two Brothers by Gabriel Barr and Fabio Moon, based on the work of Milton Hatoum, published by Dark Horse Books. I mean, I think 2016, I think it might have come out. It's based on a famous Brazilian novel, which the two brothers, Moon and Barr, were very familiar with. It tells the story of twin brothers, Omar and Jacob. I'll read the blurb on the back. Twin brothers Omar and Jacob may look alike, but they could not be more different from one another. The possessive love of their mother stirs the troubled waters between them even more, and after Jacob is sent from his home in Brazil to live with relatives in Lebanon, he returns 5 years later as a virtual stranger to the parents who bore him, and his tensions with Omar are unchanged. Family secrets engage the reader in this profoundly resonant story about identity, love, loss, deception, and the dissolution of blood ties. Set in the port city of Manaus, on the riverbanks of the Amazon, Two Brothers celebrates the vibrant life and diversity of Brazil. Based on a work by acclaimed novelist Milton Hatum, Two Brothers is stunningly reimagined by the award-winning graphic novelists Fabio Moon and Gabriel Barr. And it is absolutely stunning. It's a fictional account of a family with melodramas. There's no capes, there's no powers. It's completely black and white, no colour, but you don't miss it. The artwork by Gabriel Barr is just absolutely stunning. It's one of those books that's never actually got put on a shelf. It's constantly getting pulled out and leafed through, and you get lost in the line work. He's an amazing cartoonist. I assume that he and Fabio wrote or adapted it, because all of the artwork is drawn by Gabriel Barr, unless there was some sort of layout help from his brother. But it's just stunningly amazing. I think it's a book that you could buy for anybody who enjoys reading. You don't have to be a comic fan, I believe, to get lost in this work. Once I read it the first time, I think I just went straight back to the beginning and read it again. Gabriel Barr is going to be most known now, I suppose, for Umbrella Academy, which is getting its Netflix show next year in February. But this is my favourite work of his, I think, by far. If you do pick this up and like this, there's a companion piece, I think, really that fits well with it, which is Day Tripper, that the Two Brothers did as well. That was a Vertigo series. But yeah, definitely for comic fans and non-comic fans alike, that's Two Brothers. A couple of late titles of other books I read this year that might be worth looking up if you're interested in these kind of books. Ryan Hughes' Logo A Go-Go, the awesome artist and designer with a collection of his comic logos. And then another one in a similar vein to the Mort Meskin book. There was a book I picked up on Comixology called Top Hats and Flappers, the art of Russell Patterson from Fantagraphic Books. It's an artist from the 20s that still looks stunningly modern. This was from a reference by Howard Shakin, who's a big illustration collector, and he, I think, supplied some of the pieces for the book. But lovely, lovely graphic illustrations in that. So if you're interested, that's another couple of quick ones for the end. Well, have a great Christmas. I'm hopefully coming back with a slightly different format next year. In the meantime, thanks for listening. You can find me at ThisManThisPete on Instagram and Twitter, or contact me and find links to my comics at thismanthispete.com.
So we're going to do stuff for Little Heroes Comics.
Yes.
After the chat with Aaron, which we'd already decided to. Don't know what yet, like I said. No idea.
Well, you see, I decided to throw this out of work and see what other people said, which I got one Fan Fun Day. It's a bit hard to...
And I want to involve the comic community as a whole, so online as well. I don't just want it local, sort of.
Maybe we should do an auction or something.
Possibly. It's an idea, or
can we go back to shaving you and painting you blue?
No,
okay.
But I do want to try and link it to Lancaster Hospital somehow. I want to sort of get them involved as well, because I know they want more.
We could do a raffle around the hospitals.
They want more hospitals getting involved.
Yes, of course.
So obviously, it'd be ideal for us to bring in our local hospital trust.
Yep.
Link it all together. Blah blah blah. That makes sense. That's what I'm thinking, but we'll mull on it over the next few months, and we'll come up with something.
Yes,
something,
something. I've got a few ideas now.
That's good. That's good. But it was, like I was saying before, it was from that chat that you sort of had a jump for creating your comic as well. So
yes,
and
yeah,
did
it
some
seemed
more
to kickstart
kid-friendly
me.
as such.
Yeah, it kick-started my mind again,
That's good.
which is good because sometimes you can lose the muse, as I put it.
Mm-hmm. So we'll go and check out his website. Check out both
definitely.
the websites.
Yeah.
If you're interested, grab a comic. Well worth it.
Yeah.
Well worth it. Right, let's just do a brief chat on the new Avengers trailer, Endgame.
Oh yeah. And that's my view on it.
Why weren't you?
I'm so bored of it. Is it terrible to say I'm bored of the Avengers?
But you
now?
enjoyed the last film, didn't you?
No, it was awful.
Why was it awful? The problem with you.
Oh, go on.
You don't like to feel the emotion.
No, do you know the problem with me? I don't mind the emotion. I don't want to have. I'd hate sitting there and you know what's going to happen next. You're like, oh, for God's sake. And I get bored of notes when you sit there and second guess. If I sit there second guess and it completely throws a curveball, I'll be like, oh, hello, that's better. But if I sit there going, well, that's going to happen. Yeah, there it goes. Oh, now we're going to get the generic that. Yeah, that's it. It just.
But he did that.
Oh, good for him.
And that happened. And
yeah, well, that was obvious that was going to happen, wasn't it? And it's obvious everyone's going to come back. There's going to be some kind of time travel. No. I want something different. I'm quite looking forward to Aquaman.
Yeah, okay. Why? Why are you looking forward to Aquaman?
It looks really
Is it
bright
because the
and colourful.
story is in depth and stuff?
Well, it looks like it's a bit more fun, doesn't it?
To do with the...
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Isn't bad to look at the same time. And, that's... I think he... Well, in the Justice League, he brought a bit of humour to it. So I'm hoping for a really humorous film. And I prefer the more humorous ones to the dark and gritty. So I'm quite looking forward to watching that, to be fair.
Well, okay.
Not just because it's Jason Momoa.
Yeah, whatever. Don't believe you. Well, I personally loved the fact the trailer showed you nothing in relation to the story, realistically. It just showed you where they were at now.
Okay.
And the few that were left.
The boring ones.
No, I thought it was really interesting. They got it right because they had to. You can't ruin that story.
No, they've got to. They can't leave any other trailers now. Really, you can't do anything that says, "Oh, this person's back alive." You can't show anything like that now.
And it's interesting that, and this is part of it that ruins it. Even though we all know that these guys are going to come back, the fact that a Spider-Man trailer has been put out there, even though it's not available on the internet, it was done at a convention. So
they've ruined it.
Well, we all know he's going to come back.
Is it the same Spider-Man? I mean, they could bring another one in.
Well, they could, to be fair. But no, it is. It's Tom Holland. I felt they should have, even though Sony, obviously, they can do what they want almost because it's there. But I felt they should have waited for that.
Yeah.
Even though we know it's coming.
Yeah.
We don't want to know it's coming, if that makes sense.
You don't want that
what's
going to happen to be
see
confirmed.
This character until he's actually back.
And I'm back.
Anyway,
I think that's it. Really, like, you can't build up stuff for things that most of them. I mean, there's going to be a few that don't come back for other, Captain America.
No, supposedly that's not this. Is
that not it now?
Even though he has
gone,
he may well be back in some form, whether it's not filmed.
CG.
Now, what they have confirmed is Loki's dead.
He's dead.
But that doesn't mean he's dead.
No, I know.
Because it's Loki for starters.
Exactly.
And it's comics.
Yeah.
So, although he's dead...
He's not.
He might not.
He's just not in this film.
Because they're doing
it's like
a
the
TV
Master
series
from
with
Doctor
him.
Who, isn't it?
Well, they're doing a TV series with him, but obviously that doesn't have to be set now. It could be set.
It was set before.
So...
Yes, in an alternative reality,
yes.
Why not?
Yes, exactly. And obviously... What is also being discussed is the fact that this could be the way, whatever they do to bring everyone back, of resetting the timeline to bring in the X-Men.
Okay.
Do
you know, that's one thing when everyone someone says, "Oh, we're going to reset that Marvel universe. We're going to reset that."
Well, it's reset in a sense of just allowing the world to then have mutants. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Where they've not had that before.
Yeah.
Which is the ideal time, isn't it, really? If they're going to do it,
insert
now is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they weren't there before. We don't remember before. They were always here.
No, they will just be merged together.
Yes.
And they'll be like, oh, we were here all along.
Anyway, I'm personally looking forward to it.
Good for you.
And I will be seeing it on my own if required.
I will go and watch it. I'll just be jaded as usual. Sit there.
After my initial bout of comedy, then writing a comic, I have now started to write something else.
There's just no stopping you, is there, really?
No. Don't stop me now.
Please, someone stop him.
Having the ball. So I've started writing. Well, I'd had this idea. Obviously, I've written first part of a comic for you to draw at some point down the line, and then I had a second idea for another comic, which I'm hoping to do.
Oh yeah, you don't want me on that one, do you? Oh,
you're not gonna have time.
Too big for his boots now.
I'm hoping to do with Pete Taylor down the line. We'll see. It depends on how busy he is and so forth. And
new best friend. That's fun.
We'll see. We'll see.
Whatever.
And I'm not stupid enough to realise that people aren't busy and they've got stuff to do, but we'll see how he gets on.
Yeah, you see, busy, you know.
So, but I like the idea behind what I created. I wanted to do more with it, and I wanted to do something now because that's how I'm very impatient.
You are.
So, my idea is a comic cosplay group called the Cosplayers.
Players.
Player as in player.
Player.
And essentially they're just nerds, dweebs, whatever you want to call them, dressing up and going to conventions. Mm-hmm. Now, I've got a story idea for a comic. We've got a story idea for a comic. That's fine. My thought is that the cosplayers are like a Facebook group of people from around the country. So it allows you to have multiple stories based on the same topic. So I've got this story planned in my head for a comic, but I've also set a separate story I'm going to start writing. I've done a very basic test piece, and we're going to do a audio drama for it, which I'm hoping for next year. So I did a couple of minutes test piece, didn't we?
We did.
How did you find it?
I always enjoy that because I used to mess around on like taping myself when I was a kid anyway. So it just made me feel like I was about 11 again, so that's cool.
You say my writing's like an 11-year-old?
Well, you know. I didn't say that now, did I?
No. So what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to play that all for you to listen to.
Oh, you're not. What have they done to deserve this?
What do you mean? It's good.
Okay.
It's good. So please enjoy.
Enjoy
we'll
is a
leave
strong
you this
word.
to finish with. So we'll be back on the 1st of January.
2019. Countdown to the next comic festival begins.
Not sure who the next guest is yet.
Me.
We've got a couple planned, but I'm not sure who's going to come along.
It's a bit hard over Christmas, isn't it, to find people?
Yeah. We will be doing our top 10.
Yes.
There may even be a joining up of Mike and Pete again.
Are we sure we should cross the streams again?
So that's a good couple of hours worth of chat from them.
We could, yeah. Bumpush you.
So not for definite, but fingers crossed they'll manage to work it so they can get together and have a chat about their top books, comics of the year as well. So
it's terrible because they do it and they're like intelligent, and then we do it and we're not. They're like really in depth, and it'd be like, I like the pictures. Yeah. Oh well.
Anyway, enjoy the cosplayers.
The cosplayers.
And everybody have a very Merry Christmas.
Do the bells again. Do the bells.
It's not plugged in now.
Oh.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
The Cosplayers Introduction Episode. We are here once again, ready to show the con. No, the UK. No, the world. Our skills in the art of cosplaying.
We are the best and we know it. Why is that, Max? Because we are the cosplayers! Glad no one heard us do that.
Why? Who cares? We are cool and that's that. Let's head down.
I really went for it with this outfit. I would love to be an elf, but let's be honest, I'm half the height of a good elf, so dwarf it is.
Yeah, it's great. With your plates of armour, breastplates and chainmail skirt. But you're missing one thing.
What's that?
A beard.
I think you will find we do not have beards. People who believe we do are dumb. Anyway, I'm more based on Dragon Age, not Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but I'm like Gandalf, so people will think you're trying to be a female Gimli. Minus beard, of course.
Sod off.
I bet someone says something.
I bet someone will lose their teeth in that case.
Moody dwarf as well.
Shut it. Anyway, there's a queue. Glad we got those early passes. Looks full of other cosplayers.
Here we are, at the back as usual.
There's always the back of a queue, unless you're first. Look, more on the way, which will make us not at the back.
Clever.
Anyway, there isn't that many in front of us.
Yeah, true. Hey, Jenny, you okay?
Oh my, so smooth, so shiny, so pretty. Oh my hero shepherd, my hero.
So sorry my friend is rubbing herself up and down your arm.
Will you marry me? I can be your sexy Krogan. Okay. Help.
Get off of Jenny, you oddball. Apologies, she has a slight Mass Effect addiction.
It's not addiction, it's love. I get it. I do look blooming amazing. Now step back, citizen, and I will protect you.
My God, come here, woman. Let's try and be normal today, huh? The Comic Con is now open! Let's go! In the opposite direction of Commander Shepard.
Bah.
The Cosplayers. Written by Ian Loxham. Performed by Nicole Bates and Ian Loxham. Music from purpleplanet.com.
Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Find out more about the show and how to contact us at comicartpodcast.uk. Find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Music composed by Pop Noir.
This podcast is part of BritPod Scene, an independent network of uniquely British podcasts that's always growing. Check out BritPodScene.com or BritPod Scene on Twitter to find out more.